Welcome, everyone. Today we're going deep into some fascinating stuff from yogic science.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about ancient traditions, powerful spiritual practices. We're even going to be looking at a modern-day MahaYogi, a great master of yoga.
Exactly.
Right?
And to guide us, we have a document that explores the life and teachings of Shri Raghavendra Rao, an incredible figure.
Yes, and what's so unique about this document is that it's written by his disciple, Shri Suresh Kumar Makam. It's like a personal testament to his master's spiritual prowess.
A real insider's perspective.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that right at the beginning, Shri Suresh gives us this powerful disclaimer.
Oh, right. He says that.
Cleanse your manas, mind, with practice of sadhana, and then go through literature. Otherwise, reality will be lost upon you.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like he's saying, look, you really got to be prepared internally to grasp this.
Yeah, he's setting the stage for something deep, for sure.
Definitely. So what makes a MahaYogi? What makes someone a great master of yoga? And what exactly is yogic science and yogic engineering?
Well, those are great questions. And as we go through Sri Suresh's account, we'll be tracing this lineage of yogic wisdom, meeting some remarkable figures, and hopefully seeing how we can apply these ancient teachings to our own lives.
I'm excited to dive in.
Me too. Let's start with the history. Sri Suresh takes us way back, 72 generations before Raja Dasarath of the Surya Vansh dynasty, to a Rajarishi who pinpointed thought power as essential to Raj Yoga.
72 generations. We're talking ancient history here.
Mm.
And they were already thinking about the power of thought.
It's incredible, right?
Mind-blowing.
Sri Suresh actually connects thought power to the idea of Upadan Karan, or Kashab, that initial creative impulse that set everything in motion.
So like the Big Bang, the very beginning.
Exactly. It's like saying our thoughts have the power to shape reality itself.
Okay, that's a powerful concept.
It really is. And it's this understanding that forms the foundation of the yogic lineage Sri Suresh traces. But then things get even more interesting when he introduces Sri Ramchandra of Fatehgarh, also known as Sri Lalaji Maharaj, who came onto the scene in 1873.
So this is a key figure.
Yeah, a major turning point. Sri Lalaji Maharaj is said to have attained spiritual perfection in just 7 months. And he brought in a whole new era of yogic training with what's called transmission.
Wait, 7 months to reach perfection.
That's what they say. And what's even more amazing is that he believed this level of spiritual attainment was possible while living a normal family life.
So you don't have to become a monk or a hermit.
Exactly. It challenges the whole idea that you have to renounce the world to grow spiritually.
So Sri Ramchandra didn't just reach this incredible state himself, but he also mapped out a path for others to follow. He talked about 3 key regions of the spiritual journey: the heart region, the mind region, and the central region.
And to reach the center, he talked about navigating 13 knots and 64 points of concentrated power.
13 knots. 64 points. We need a little help understanding that. What do they represent?
Well, think of them as stages of spiritual growth, like milestones on a cosmic map that lead to the source of creation.
So there's an actual path you can follow.
That's the idea. But Sri Ramchandra was also very clear that language has its limitations when describing these spiritual realities.
Right. You can't really put those kinds of experiences into words.
Exactly. But even so, his teachings give us some valuable clues about what's possible on the inner journey.
This is fascinating stuff. So we've traveled through centuries of yogic history. We've met a master who reached enlightenment incredibly fast. We've even got a glimpse of this map of spiritual evolution. Where do we go from here?
Well, next we meet another important figure, Sri Ramchandra of Shahjahanpur, born in 1899, also known as Sri Babuji Maharaj.
Okay, another master. What makes him stand out in this lineage?
Sri Babuji Maharaj was a disciple of Sri Lalaji Maharaj. He declared that Sahaj Marg, meaning the natural path, was the key to transformation. And he emphasized form worship, meditating on a specific form, the form of a spiritually perfected being.
So you focus on a master rather than abstract ideas.
Right, but not just any master. He believed this form should be someone who had either descended from the ultimate reality or reached the highest state through their own efforts. A true master, basically.
Makes sense. You'd want your guide to be someone who's actually been there. But how does this connect to Sri Raghavendra Rao, our modern-day MahaYogi?
This is where it all comes together. Sri Suresh describes a fascinating yogic process of fusion and fission of energies between Sri Babuji Maharaj and Shri Raghavendra Rao. It's like their energies merged and separated in a cosmic dance.
Wow, I can barely imagine that.
It's a powerful image, and Sri Suresh says this eventually led to a perfect union in 1955. Then, in 1969, Sri Raghavendra Rao entered Laya Avastha in Brahm.
Laya Avastha in Brahm. That sounds intense.
It's considered the highest state in yogic philosophy. It means merging with ultimate reality, Brahman complete union.
So we're talking about becoming one with the universe.
Essentially, yes. And this was a pivotal moment for Sri Raghavendra Rao. It's like he became a living embodiment of that ultimate reality.
That's amazing. So we've got this ancient lineage, the introduction of transmission, the idea of form worship, and now this profound state of Laya Avastha in Brahm. What's next in our deep dive?
Now we really get into Sri Suresh's account, the life and work of Sri Raghavendra Rao as a modern-day MahaYogi. We'll explore what his influence was like and what practical guidance he offered.
I'm all ears. We've covered a lot of concepts in history, but what does it actually mean to be a MahaYogi in the modern world?
That's what we're going to find out. What are your initial thoughts on Sri Raghavendra Rao so far?
Well, achieving Laya Avastha in Brahm is a pretty big deal. It makes you wonder what's truly possible for us as humans.
You're right, it's mind-blowing. And it seems like Sri Raghavendra Rao combined his deep spiritual understanding with practical guidance for his disciples. It wasn't just about otherworldly experiences. He was really there to help people through everyday life.
Okay, I'm ready to hear about that practical side. What kind of guidance did he offer? What were his teachings like?
Let's explore that as we continue our deep dive. I think you'll find some fascinating insights coming up. So, you know how Sri Suresh emphasized purifying the mind? It turns out Sri Raghavendra Rao was all about the practical side of spiritual growth, too. Sri Suresh talks about how incredibly dedicated he was and compassionate, and how committed he was to spreading the teachings of Sahaj Marg.
Oh, right, the natural path.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And get this, Sri Suresh mentions that Sri Raghavendra Rao would use this thing called pranahuti to help his disciples.
Pranahuti, what's that?
Well, it's like a specialized form of transmission. Imagine like a direct connection to spiritual energy, which he used to guide and support people.
Wow, that's pretty powerful. So he was really hands-on with his guidance then.
Yeah, very much so. And Sri Suresh really emphasizes that it wasn't just about inner transformation. Sri Raghavendra Rao wanted to see positive change in the world. He even set up training centers to make these teachings more accessible.
So it wasn't all just about personal growth?
Not at all. It was about making a real difference. He encouraged his disciples to work towards a better society.
Okay, I'm really starting to get a picture of this guy. Did Sri Suresh give any specific examples of his teachings?
Well, rather than giving like a list of teachings, Sri Suresh talks about a lot of really interesting concepts that seem to reflect Sri Raghavendra Rao's perspective.
Okay, like what?
Like the connection between sound and creation, the idea of nada Brahman.
Nada Brahman. That rings a bell.
Yeah. Remember when we talked about that initial creative impulse, Upadan Karan or Kashab?
Yeah, like the primordial vibration that started everything.
Right. Well, nada Brahman takes it deeper. Sri Suresh says that in the ancient Vedic verses, creation is said to originate from sound.
Wow. So sound is like the foundation of everything. That's a big concept.
Yeah, it really is. And Sri Suresh says that every single thing that exists has a corresponding sound form.
So everything has its own sound, even if we can't hear it.
Yeah, like a vibrational fingerprint, a unique sonic signature. And what's really fascinating is that Sri Suresh points out that humans are unique because we can both perceive sound and create it through language.
So we're kind of like sound creators and receivers.
Exactly.
But that also makes me think, doesn't that come with a lot of responsibility?
That's a great point. And, you know, Sri Suresh actually echoes the philosopher Adi Shankaracharya, who warned about the misuse of language. He says we have a huge responsibility to use words wisely, with awareness, for the good of everyone.
Yeah, words can be really powerful. They can build up or tear down.
Definitely. He's not just talking about being polite. He's talking about aligning our words with truth and using them to benefit all beings.
So it's about being conscious of the impact of our words.
Absolutely. But then Sri Suresh brings in this kind of darker element. He introduces the concept of jignesis. These are people who, as he puts it, are born to be close to God. And he talks about the stages of spiritual evolution and the dangers that can arise if you stray from the guidance of a true master.
Okay, now this is where I need some clarification. Dangers. What kind of dangers are we talking about on the spiritual path?
Well, he talks about things like misusing spiritual practices, and he even mentions beings like Brahma Rakshasa and Satan. He describes them as like perversions of spiritual power, these really powerful entities that can lead people astray.
That sounds pretty intense, like something out of a fantasy novel.
It does, but Sri Suresh seems to be saying that these are real forces to be reckoned with on the spiritual path. It definitely makes you think about what might be out there that we can't see.
So it's not all love and light then?
Well, it sounds like there are some real challenges and potential pitfalls, and Sri Suresh emphasizes the importance of having discernment, finding a genuine master, and having the right intentions if you want to navigate this stuff safely.
So it's not just about having good intentions, you need the right knowledge too.
Yeah, it's like embarking on a journey through unknown territory. You need a good map and a trustworthy guide to help you along the way.
This is all a lot to process. So how does all of this connect back to Shri Raghavendra Rao and his teachings?
Well, all this talk about dark forces and potential pitfalls, it all points back to the importance of finding a true master, like Shri Raghavendra Rao, who can help you stay on track and avoid those dangers. It's about recognizing who's offering genuine guidance and who might be trying to exploit or manipulate you.
It makes sense. You need someone to help you see clearly.
Right. And that's what Sri Suresh keeps coming back to, this idea of discernment, this inner knowing that helps you distinguish between what's true and what's false.
You know, this makes me think about finding authentic teachers and mentors in all aspects of life, not just spirituality.
That's a really good point. These principles apply to so much more than just spiritual practices. It's about developing wisdom, making good choices, and aligning your life with your values.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground. But I still can't get past that central paradox. How can someone like Shri Raghavendra Rao, who achieved Laya Avastha in Brahm, who's merged with ultimate reality, how can he still be present in the world, guiding and inspiring people? I just don't get it.
It really does challenge our understanding of reality, doesn't it? Our ideas about time and space and even our own identity.
Absolutely. If you become one with everything, how can you still be a separate individual?
Maybe that's where our usual way of thinking breaks down. Sri Suresh doesn't give a definite answer, but he seems to be suggesting that Laya Avastha in Brahm doesn't destroy individuality, it transcends it.
Transcends it. Okay, so what does that mean?
It's like when a drop of water merges with the ocean. It doesn't stop existing. It becomes part of something much bigger, but it still has its own essence.
Okay, I like that analogy. So maybe instead of merging, it's more like an expansion of awareness, where the individual consciousness becomes a channel for that universal consciousness.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it. And maybe that's how a MahaYogi like Sri Raghavendra Rao can still guide and inspire others by becoming a conduit for that ultimate reality.
So they become a source of light and wisdom for others.
Exactly. And I think that's a really important takeaway from our deep dive. The spiritual path isn't just about personal enlightenment. It's about contributing to the well-being of everyone.
That's a beautiful thought. It makes me wonder if we all have the potential to tap into that universal consciousness, to become channels for that light in our own way.
It's an intriguing question, isn't it? I think Sri Suresh's account of Sri Raghavendra Rao's life really suggests that those possibilities are there.
It's definitely challenged me to think about reality and human potential in a whole new way.
Me too. It's been quite a journey. It's really interesting how Sri Suresh keeps coming back to the idea that you need more than just intellectual knowledge to understand this stuff. Like, he's saying you have to prepare yourself internally, purify your mind. And this becomes even more apparent as he explores another aspect of Sri Raghavendra Rao's teachings.
Oh, okay. I'm curious. What aspect is that?
Well, remember those beings he mentioned before, the Brahma Rakshasa and Satan? He goes into more detail about them and suggests that they represent a kind of distortion of spiritual power. Like they're these entities that can manipulate and exploit people who are on the wrong path.
So these aren't just mythological creatures. He's saying they're a real danger for spiritual seekers.
Yeah, that's what he seems to be saying. And he explains that these beings can emerge when people misuse spiritual practices, when they try to use them for selfish reasons, for power over others.
That's a bit scary, like a warning about what can happen if you go after spiritual power without the right guidance.
Right. It's a reminder that the spiritual path isn't always easy or straightforward. There can be real dangers along the way.
Yeah, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, that's for sure. But how does this tie back into Sri Raghavendra Rao?
Well, by talking about these darker forces, Sri Suresh is highlighting the importance of having a true master on the spiritual path. He's saying that a genuine master like Sri Raghavendra Rao can help you navigate these dangers and stay on the right track. It's about being able to discern between real spiritual guidance and people who might be trying to take advantage of you.
So it's like having a guide who can help you avoid those pitfalls.
Exactly. And it all comes back to that idea of discernment that Sri Suresh keeps emphasizing. Being able to tell the difference between truth and falsehood, between genuine guidance and something that might lead you astray.
You know, that's such an important skill, not just in spirituality, but in life in general. Being able to see things clearly, to make good judgments.
Absolutely. These principles apply to so many areas of life. It's about developing wisdom, making choices that are in alignment with your values.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We've
Mm.
talked about lineage and powerful practices and even the potential dangers on the spiritual path. But I still keep coming back to that paradox.
Mm.
How can someone who's achieved Laya Avastha in Brahm, who's merged with ultimate reality, how can they still be present in the world, guiding and inspiring others? It just boggles my mind.
It really does push the boundaries of our understanding, doesn't it? Our ideas about time and space and even what it means to be an individual.
Yeah, like if you're one with everything, how can you still be a separate person?
It's a tough one. Maybe Sri Suresh is suggesting that Laya Avastha in Brahm doesn't actually erase individuality. Maybe it transcends it, takes it to a whole other level.
Okay, so what does that mean? Transcending individuality.
Think about it like this. When a drop of water falls into the ocean, it doesn't disappear, right? It becomes part of something much vaster, but it still retains its own essence.
Oh, I see. So maybe it's more like an expansion of awareness, not a complete merging. Like the individual consciousness becomes a channel for universal consciousness.
I think that's a really insightful way to put it. And maybe that's how a MahaYogi like Shri Raghavendra Rao can still be present in the world, guiding and inspiring people by becoming a conduit for that ultimate reality, a source of light and wisdom for others.
That's a beautiful image. It makes you wonder if we all have that potential within us,
Yeah.
to tap into that universal consciousness and become channels for that light in our own unique ways.
It's a powerful possibility. Sri Suresh's account of Sri Raghavendra Rao's life certainly opens up those kinds of questions and possibilities.
This has been an incredible deep dive. We've explored some really deep concepts, delved into yogic science, and learned about the life of this modern-day MahaYogi. It's left me with a sense of wonder and a real appreciation for the wisdom that Sri Suresh has shared.
Me too. Even though we might not have all the answers, we've been given a glimpse into a world of incredible possibilities.
And that's something to be grateful for.
Absolutely.